Hello everyone. In this session, we will be studying about prefix codes. So before starting off with the prefix codes, we need to understand some basic key words. That is what we mean by a code word, what we mean by a code. Code is a set of binary sequences or a sequence of zeros and ones. We call it as a code. And each individual bit, that is zero or a one, it is called the code word. That is the individual member of a code. We call it as code word. All right. What do we mean by coding? The assignment of binary sequences to be it symbols or alphabets we call as coding. Let's consider an example where there are four symbols A1, A2, A3 and A4 and they are coded as 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1 respectively. So 0 and 1 in this code we call it as code word. It is an individual member of this code. The 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, all we call it as a code because they are binary sequences. And individual member of that binary sequence we call it as code word. Okay, and assignment of binary sequences to symbols or alphabets we call it as coding. These are nothing but the symbols or alphabets. All right, so this is about code word and coding. And one more main concept that we need to understand is uniquely decodable codes. So what are these uniquely decodable codes? These are such type of codes which can be decoded in one and only one way. Let's consider the same example. Okay. Now, I'll consider one code that is 1 and 0. Randomly, I've considered one code 1 and 0. And with the help of these codes, this code word can be coded as, see, first I have 1 and 0. 1 is the code word for A2 and 0 is the code word for A1. It can be coded as A2, A1 or this 10 itself is a code word for symbol A3. I can just write or code it as A3. So there are two different ways in which this sequence can be coded. So this is not a uniquely decodable code. Now let me consider one more example, that is 0, 1. 0 is a code word for A1. 1 is a code word for A2. 0, 1 complete sequence is not a code word for any of the four symbols that are present over here. So this 0, 1 can be coded as A1 and A2 only. There are no other possibility by which it can be coded, unlike 1, 0. So this 0, 1 sequence is a uniquely decodable code. And next, let's consider an example where for symbol A we have code word 010 and for symbol B we have 01011. Now we'll understand what prefix code is. See, if you observe here, this 010 is the first part of code word for B. After this 010 we have 11. So code word of A is the prefix of code word of B. I can say that. So the first conclusion that I'll be drawing from this example is A is prefix of B. And we know that A is the prefix of B. Okay. So 010 is the prefix of B. Okay. The remaining sequence, what is that? 1 and 1. 1, 1, we call it as dangling suffix. The one that is not matching with the other code word except for the prefix code, we call it as dangling suffix. All right. So if I consider any code word 01011, so for this code word 0 or 01 or 010 or 0101 can be the prefix. Next, let's consider an example of code words 0, 10, 110 and 011. So now we'll identify the prefix codes. Before identifying, we need to know what a prefix code is. So prefix code is if any code, we say that a code word is a prefix code if any code word is not a prefix to other code word, then it is a prefix code. So here if you can observe, 0 here is the prefix code of code word 4. So it is not a prefix code. 0 is not a prefix code. Next, 10. 10, is it the prefix of any other code word? Please check. Here we have 11 and here we have 01. Nowhere we have 10. So 10 is not a prefix to any of the other code words. So we say 10 is a code word. Next, 11. 11 is also not a prefix of any other code word that are present over here. So we can write 110 is also a prefix code word. 011 is also a code word because this sequence is not a prefix of any other code word. So like that, we will identify which code is prefix code and which is not. So this is one type of identifying the prefix codes. We have one more method, that is tree method. So how will we do that? So we'll consider three different set of codes for four symbols A1, A2, A3 and A4. First code set of code words, uh, here A1 is coded as 0, A2 is coded as 1, A3 is coded as 10, A4 is coded as 11. And in second set, A1 is coded as 0, A2, A3 and A4 are coded as 10, 110, 111 respectively. Next in set 3, A1 is coded as 0, A2 is coded as 01, A3 and A4 is coded as 001 and 0001 respectively. So from this tree method, we'll now identify which of them is a prefix code. So in tree method, what we do is first we'll write a root node and branch it into two branches with the value 0 and 1. So first I've written a root node over here. I've branched it as 0 and 1. Here code word for A1 is 0. So here I have 0. So I'll terminate this with A1 because A1 code word is 0. Next we have 1 over here. Code word for A2 is 1. So I'll terminate it with A2. Next, code word for A3 is 1 and 0. So I already have 1 over here. I want 0. So I'll terminate this node to two branches, 0 and 1. So I have 1 over here and then 0 over here. So I'll terminate this with node A3 because the code word for A3 is 1 and 0. Next code word for A4 is 1, 1. So I have 1 over here. Next one, where will I be getting? That is over here. So 1 and 1. I'll terminate the branching over here and name it as A4. So this is a tree diagram for the first set of code words. Next, let's consider the second set. First, I'll write the root node, branch it into two branches, name it as 0 and 1. Code word for A1 is 0, so I'll terminate branching over here and write it as A1. And then A2, code word is 1, 0. So 1 I have over here, I'll branch it into two different branches and name it as 0 and 1 respectively. 1 and 0 is the code word for A2, so the branching is terminated over here and the node of that particular name name of that particular node is A2. So the code word for that is 10, as you can see here. Next code word for A3 is 1, 1 and 0. So 1, I've got one more 1 here. Next I want 0. So this node is again branched into 0 and 1. I next need 0, right? So 1, 1 and 0. I got it over here in this path. So this node is named as A3 and the branching is terminated at this particular node. Next, we have 111 as the code word for A4. So that I'll be getting in this path. Or if you please observe from the root node 1, 1 and 1. Terminate the branching and name this node as A4. This is the tree diagram for second set of code words. Next, let's consider the third set. First, let's write the root node, branch it into two branches 0 and 1, and 0 is the code word for A1. So here this node is named as A1. Next, 0 1 is the code word for A2. So 0 and 1. I'll again branch this as 0 and 1. So 0 1 I'll be getting here. So name this node as A2. Next, 0 0 1. So we'll again have to branch this node into 0 and 1. So 0, 0 and 1 I'll be getting over here. So name this node as A3. Next we have code word for A4 as 0, 0, 0 and 1. So 0, 0, 0. And after branching this we'll get one more 0 and 1. So 3 zeros followed by 1 we'll be getting in this path. So name this node as A4. Okay. Now this is the tree diagram for third set of code words. So after drawing all the three diagrams for the given three set of code words, from this tree diagram we'll identify whether it is a prefix code or not. If any symbol of if any given symbol or the alphabet or a letter is an internal node in the tree, then that particular code is not a prefix code. We must have all the alphabets or the letters as external nodes. A1, A2, A3 and A4 nodes here. All the nodes should be external. Not even a single node should be internal node. If all the nodes are external node, we regard that particular set of code as prefix code. So in the first tree, if you can observe, A2 is the internal node, so this is not a prefix code. In the second tree, if you can observe, A1, A2, A3 and A4, all the four nodes are external nodes, so this is a prefix code. Here, if you observe, A1 is the internal node, so this code is not a prefix code. So this is how we identify whether the given code is a prefix code or not by using the tree method. So this is about prefix codes. And the next session we'll be continuing with the next topic of module 2. Thank you all.